Trying to find a way to do this and get good light. I think that's gonna have to be it right there. So I will get started shortly. I'm gonna wait for a few people to get on here. Allow me to get my coffee. Hang on. I'm here. If anybody showed up, I'm here. Just give me a moment. There's only one person here. Who's here? I am going to let me know who's here. I'm gonna wait till I get a couple more people. So there will be no, what's going on? I don't have anyone now. Maybe we won't do this. I don't know. If you guys aren't gonna, I mean, I'm gonna start reading the questions. So here's the thing. I'm not going to answer any comments in this video, so I'm not going to disable the comments, but just so you guys know, there's only one person who's here. Only one person here. This is going to be a long video. Just give you a heads up. There are 130 individual comments. So we'll just go ahead and start. As soon as I get 5 people, I'll start. What's up, Drew? Drew, I'm going to post up a link probably today for since you guys all pay, the Patreons all get free access to the basic sharpening video that I did that I'm putting up on Skillshare hopefully later today. So you guys get free access to it. You don't have to go to Skillshare. You don't have to pay for that video because you guys already pay. I mean, it's only fair to provide specific things. So now that we got a handful of people here, let's start reading these questions. Hey, the winner is here. So we're gonna start right at the very beginning. From here on out, I'm not gonna be reading any of you guys' comments. There is no question and answer part here. So let's go ahead. So Kubatron asks, have I ever broken a spring in a penknife? No, I have not. Somewhere at my house in Ohio, my father has an old Simmons folder that was that the mainspring did break on, and it no longer had spring tension, and so to lock it, you had to push the back spring down in. Nice little knife. It just didn't work. It was a lot like a buck. There's only 4 people here. I can't believe this. So that was Kubatron. Tony Patey, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Tony Patey asks, what is your favorite whetstone for sharpening? He says Chaucera 800. My favorite whetstone for sharpening, that's not a whetstone. A Chaucera is not a whetstone. That's a waterstone. My favorite waterstone for sharpening, I don't really have one. I like all of them. You know, you can get away with cheaper ones for coarse grit. You can get, the lower grit, you don't need a really nice stone because you're just doing the rough work. So I really can't say I have a favorite. I don't really like oil stones. I don't like Arkansas stones, things like that. So Lois White Cross. I think I know Lois. Just got an electric knife sharpener. I've never used one, always use a stone. Do you think I should use it on my knives or continue to use the stone? Thanks for your input. Okay, I don't like the electric sharpeners. The electric sharpeners are a lot of times a diamond plate that oscillates, and so you don't get clear, concise striations. You wind up with circles. I've seen them. I have one here that I got at a what do you want to call it? A thrift store. I just happened to stop by. My buddy was there. I stopped by, I grabbed one, and I was like, okay, I can't believe there's only 5 people here for this. We'll do this as long as we can. My phone may overheat, guys. It is 93 degrees at 10 o'clock in the morning. So, but no, the electric sharpeners, no. I would not recommend them. Keep using a stone. Those electric plates, those plates oscillate. You wind up with circles on your edges as opposed to a good sharp edge. Nathan Wallace asks, if you were going to use a KME system to sharpen knives professionally, which stones would you want to have on hand? I wouldn't use a KME professionally. I don't think that they do a great job. I know that there's guys that use them for their own personal use, but I wouldn't use one for professional. But I mean, if that's the way you want to do it, I don't necessarily consider that professional sharpening. I think that's not the best. That's like one of the least, the worst ways to start doing professional sharpening. I know there are people out there that do it. My friend Bender does. Rob, Apostle P, Mr. Bixby, he uses an Edge Pro. I don't think that that's the way to go if you're going to do professional sharpening. It's too time intensive, and it's just not a good way. But the stones I would want to have things ranging from about 100 to 200 grit all the way up to, you know me, 10, 12,000 grit. That gets pricey. What is the most expensive knife you've ever purchased? Good upload. That is Plagiarin Giants. The most expensive knife I've ever owned, I had a full custom that I paid, I think I paid like almost $3 grand for. And that was years and years and years ago. And I didn't buy it. Another one like that, I have had a bunch of expensive mid-tech style, mid-tech style knives that I paid a lot for. I had a Hinder that I paid like $800 for. It wouldn't flip. You guys heard me talk about that in one of my early videos. But yeah, it was damn near. I think I paid $2,800, and it was a full custom. And Peter, I'm not responding to any comments on this. It's just reading the comments on the video. So don't even bother trying to blow me up on this. So Steve Jones asked, what is the best sharpening stone to buy as a novice user I'd like to use to learn how to sharpen my own stuff? I have some old kitchen knives that are so dull, honing them doesn't do much anymore. I trust shoe/repair. I don't trust the shoe/knife repair guy near me. Yeah, I wouldn't either. The best stones to buy for a novice, I mean, there's a lot of them out there. That's something I would have to maybe do a video on. I did a video, what's the best stone for me? It just depends on how you want to do it. If you want something that lasts longer, you're going to want an oil stone or a ceramic stone. If you want something that I think does a better job, you're going to want to stick with the different types of water stones. There's diamond water stones now, the Vinev stones. There are aluminum oxide and silica carbide whetstones that are just bound differently. They're not oil stones. There's ceramic stones that act as water stones, and then you have the resin bound like Chaucer stones. So it just depends on what you're trying to do. I like the water stones. Mr. Sharp asks, how many knives do I carry every day? Cheers, Bart. It just depends. Like right now, I just got my Master Blaster in my pocket. I'm still wearing a pair of shorts. It is hot. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is hot. I'm gonna have to turn the ceiling fan on here in a minute. Nicholas Saver, I've heard you ranted about SOG's heat treat on OS 8. Who else does a bad heat treat? I own 2 Spyderco Enduras, Dragonflies. How Spyderco's 8CR 13 MOV. If you have noticed any differences, if I don't have Spyderco 8CR, I don't know. There's companies that do a good job, and then there's companies that do a crappy job, and sometimes they do both. I've seen knives come out of a company, and you know, no 2 knives were the same. I don't like SOG's heat treat. I think it's way too soft on OS 8. It wouldn't hold an edge for what I wanted to do. Cold Steel's heat treat was so much better. So caffeinated 78, CAFN8ED7 4. Caffeinated 74. I like that. Do you use the smooth or rough side of a leather strap? Depends. You can use both. You can use the coarse side, the rough side, to do an initial strop, and then the smooth side to do a final strop. So it just depends on, you know, if you don't have anything else. For a straight razor, I have a straight razor strop that's wide, and it has a very thick felt side, not canvas, and then a kangaroo leather side, and that's, you know, I do back and forth on both. So just depends. The thing I would say is, though, be careful and make sure you wipe off your strop before you use it, because the coarse sides sometimes will accumulate things that you don't want to be sand, dust, dirt, anything that happens to be floating around. Yoshida D. Stone, what do you think about using a surgical black Arkansas stone after using a Spyderco fine stone? Do you notice a higher... I don't have a surgical black Arkansas, so I would not be able to speak to that. But, I mean, I've seen people do it. It seems like it has a good polish. I really don't know. What's my favorite Kershaw? I really don't have one. I really don't have one. There's not a lot of Kershaws that I would buy anymore, because the blade steel and stuff like that. There are no comments on this one. I'm reading comments from the other video. I wish I could shut these up. Let me see. Maybe I can't shut off the comments. Cancel. No, I can't. So not going to read any comments that you guys are putting up. This is reading the question and answer on this video. If I tried to respond to you guys' comments, it would take forever. Would you choose this Spyderco over an equivalent Gonzo? I don't know. I haven't seen a Gonzo that was the same as this one, so I really don't know. I do know that this one has to be tightened. If I read all your comments, guys, it would take all day to get this. There's 130 comments on this video. Would you choose a Spyderco? I think I would still stick with Spyderco. I know it's just, it's a thing. I don't like some of the Gonzo knives because they're just basically, I think I need to. Give me one moment. Let's pause this. I gotta put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Back. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb mode. Sorry. When being in the military, what are the best life insights you took from your service? I learned a valuable lesson that I tried to pass down to my troops. It's the best life lesson I ever learned, is making someone respect you for your position. If you force someone to respect you, they will just do that. They will respect your position, not you as a person. They will do exactly what you tell them and nothing more. They'll do exactly what you ask and nothing more. If you earn someone's respect, if you prove that you're somebody that can be respected and you earn their respect, those people will move mountains just to make you happy. I know I did it for chiefs that I respected, superiors I respected. You want them to be happy because they earned your respect. They didn't force it upon you. They're like, you're going to do what I tell you because I'm your boss. I never did that. I always asked. You can ask anybody who ever worked for me. I never once told someone, unless it was a situation that required it, never once told someone, you have to do this. 9 times out of 10, 99% of the time, I would say. When I would ask for, when I wanted something done, I would ask, hey, can you do me a favor? We got to get this done. That's how you treat workers with respect. This phone is trying to overheat. I can tell already that this is not going to work. I'm pretty sure that my phone's hot as a fucking pistol. Aaron Cross said he had this knife before and lost it, but it's a good little knife. Nice. Henka 82? Henkaka? I don't know, 2 Ks. What's my favorite movie or movies? Grosse Point Blank is one of my favorite all-time movies. I love that movie. And other than that, some of the old samurai movies, like Yojimbo, things like that, and of course the old Mel Brooks movies like Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles. I know there's a lot of variables. In general, have you experienced a toothy or polished edge lasts longer, performs better? If you have time, maybe you could get stuff. I really don't have time to discuss all that. I've talked about it in other videos. The fact is, they each have their own specific advantage. Certain people will want a toothier edge. Like I said, I had some fishermen friends that are no longer here. They moved up north. I would sharpen knives for them, and they wanted a very toothy edge. I like a more polished edge, not necessarily a 10 or 12,000 grit edge. I like about a five to $8,000 or 5 to 8,000 grit stone to finish on. That's about where I finish my knives. It's still really polished, and I strop it to 1/2 micron, so you wind up with a polished toothy edge, toothier edge. In some steels, you can get away with a 3,000 grit edge and polish. Like that's about the limit that I take S35 VN, because there's something about my stones at the higher grit that the steel gets cloudy. Thanks for the chance. Do you recommend DMT stones? I haven't seen you use them very much. If so, what is your favorite? I don't like the DMT stones too much. I don't like the finish they leave. I don't like the way, and especially at the higher, finer grits, they wear out pretty quick. They do last longer than the cheaper ones, but lately I've been using the Venev diamond stones, but I still have a coarse diamond plate that I use for a lot of the rough resurfacing, refinishing, reprofiling, knives that are brand new knives that have never been sharpened before, like when Elliot just does a 220 grit apex just to save me the problem with some of the removal of material. That's about the only thing I use it for. And I use it for resurfacing my Edge Pro stones. They're not the same as my other water stones. What brand diamond spray common do you use? Have you tried CBN? I do not like CBN. I had a guy that kept asking me about CBN. He kept trying to tell me that CBN was something you had to have if you were sharpening high vanadium steels, because high-speed machining, the diamond, because it embeds into the steel, and I'm like, I'm not doing high-speed machining. I don't use a machine for sharpening. I don't need that. When I'm making knives, I use a ceramic belt, not a diamond, and so I don't have a diamond wheel. So basically, CBN to me is an abrasive that is not as aggressive, does not cut as well, and is way more expensive. So CBN for me, I haven't tried it, and I wouldn't use it. It's more expensive. I'm getting a lesser quality abrasive at a higher price. I do use the Hand American diamond spray in the 1 1/2 micron sizes. I get those through Amazon sometimes, but you can get them on Wicked Edge's website. It's the only thing I'd ever buy from Wicked Edge. God, this phone's hot. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this, guys. Might have to break this up into a couple. What is your favorite large cold steel folder? They used to have a couple really nice large knives. I had a Voyager, a large Voyager one time. Not the fucking super big one that they had, but the large one. I had an AK-47, and I still have a Spartan. But some of their great big ones are just, they're over the top. They're too much. I've sharpened a couple of the, what are they? The Vaqueros, the huge big pocket swords and things like that. What's my Instagram? That's Mario. So I love knives. Let's see. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. That was Mario Saboni. I love knives. How do you clean up a factory grind at the base of the blade? I find it difficult on some knives. Some knives you can't. A lot of times I will just tell the customer, I was like, hey, I need to put a notch in this. The best way to do it is you just make sure you have a really sharp corner on your stones, which I don't ever do that. I knock the edge off. Or you just use narrow stones. Let's see here. What's next? Outpost 76, what's your favorite tool steel? Congratulations on 3K. Thank you very much. What's my favorite tool steel? I like M390, 204P, 20CV. They're all the same thing. Outside of that, I like LMAX and I like D2. I like D2. It's my favorite tool steels. Frank Andre Holmstrand, have you ever sharpened a ZT0452? I don't know, because I don't memorize the ZT numbering. They have the weirdest nomenclature. Probably. I've sharpened a lot of ZTs. I probably have. This is from Ken Robson. When am I going to braid my hair? It would be fun father-daughter thing to do. You could make a family video about it. I may, if it gets long enough. If it looks like it's going to continue to grow long enough. I don't know if it is. It just seems to have slowed down. It grew really fast at first, and then stopped. Jimmy Jocelyn, what's better, stone or electric sharpener to get a sharp edge? Stone. Electric sharpeners are pretty much garbage. They really are. Let me turn this fan on. Blow this fan on me. Whew, that's better. Some air moving. So let's see here. Bryce Parker, tell us something that people do sharpening-wise that drives you nuts. Equipment misuse, something we all do because we don't know better. The thing that irritates me is the guys that always, invariably, a guy gets a really nice knife and then wants to thin the edge. You know, hey, I get it. Sometimes you need to thin that edge, but they go too far. They really go too far with it, and then they have an edge that you just can't use, and then you have to decide whether you're just going to hit just the edge and give it an extra bevel at the front and fix the issues. The other one that irritates me is I've seen guys do it. They get these systems, and then they think they've got the edge apexed, and they don't, and they stop. And they're like, I don't understand why it won't cut. And they sent it to me. Well, it's basically because that edge is blunt and dull and still has the original factory edge on it, just at the very apex. And when you look at it in the light, you can see it. And then, so they've polished everything except the important part. And then the final thing, micro bevels. Micro bevels. Had a guy that commented, he's like, I don't see how you call yourself a professional sharpener if you don't know what angle you use at, because you don't know the micro bevel. How are you going to do your micro bevel if you don't know what angle? Who cares? Who cares? I don't use micro bevels. I think they're stupid. There's a much better way to do it than a micro bevel. I honestly, if you guys like micro bevels, I'm sorry. I personally don't like them. I think they make zero sense. They're like wiping before you poop. Okay, so this is Knife Man Zach. I hate to have to resharpen my blades with every minor edge damage. Is there a stropping compound you recommend that fix rolls, microchips, and super steels? Not really. I mean, if you've got it to the point where you've got chips and rolls and things like that, probably gonna have to put on a stone. You may be able to strop it out on something like with maybe some micron, some higher microns of what I use, like maybe coarser, like maybe a 2 or 3 micron, and then strop your way back down. But I mean, in all actuality, you're probably just gonna have to resharpen it. Hey Ray, Mike, congratulations on 3,000 subs. You deserve it and so much more. I know it's just the beginning for you, but no doubt this channel will be one of the biggest knife channels in years to come. I don't know, I'm running out of things to talk about. Question is, how has your YouTube channel changed your life, and what direction do you see your knife business heading? Full production one day or just customs? I actually don't, I haven't, guys, I know I took orders for, once again, thank you. Let me read the rest, they were just custom. I took orders for like 12 Hornets. I only basically am making 11 because there's one guy that backed out. But the thing is, I haven't made one. I am so far behind on that because the knife making was not meant to be an actual business. It's a hobby. It's something to keep my mind off things when I have time. But the problem is, now I have taken orders and I had to order belts. So I actually spent money I didn't have ordering belts because I needed belts to make things that got ordered. I'm still taking some orders. The Hornets are full. Everything else is full. The only thing I'm making on order are my Vipers. So I actually foresee that part of my business going away and just make one every once in a while. Mr. Nugget, DS Nugget, what is your favorite anno finish, i.e. blue, green, gold, black, etc.? And what's your most memorable finish? And i.e. a knife that was in bits and you made it cracking again. Let's see. My favorite, I think, was that Two Sons that I did with the green satin with the black underneath, I really like that. I think that so far has been my favorite one I ever did, but the flip side is that's such pain. Um, my favorite, I like the black and green combos. Black and green always looks good. That's my favorite combination, is a black ceramic and then somehow you do green. After that, it's usually like blue and bronze, and then a lot of times that patina copper look. Jeff Sherrod, I've been hand sharpening since I was a kid, and I'm 55 now. What's your opinion on DMT stones? I use them for, I just talked about DMT stones, not gonna talk about that. How do you sharpen a convex edge freehand? The way I do all of them. Just watch my videos, you'll see it. I move the knife slightly and the stone slightly so that there's a rocking motion as it's traveling, and it puts multiple angles on. As you do that, it knocks the shoulders off, and then as you start with something that's a bunch of different angles, and then as you progress, you now round that out, and that's just how you do it. I've done a bunch of videos where you guys can see it. A lot of my live feeds I'm actually sharpening. Spec 84, I have an Edge Pro clone and a KME, but I haven't been 100% satisfied with either one, even though I'm 90% of the way there with the KME, but I still feel like something's missing. I've always been intrigued by how you hand sharpen. Would you say that you can hand sharpen better than a fixed angle system? Or do you hand sharpen because it's simpler in general? I know you're good at it, and I'm sure you have your reasons why you choose to hand sharpen everything, but why not get something like a Wicked Edge or anything similar caliber, just to take the guesswork out of the equation? And know it's 100% that the blade has the angle you're going for. Here's the thing. Your angle, 99% of the time, really doesn't matter. It's determined by each knife. And unless you've done it a lot and you can have a feel for it, the way that knife sits and the direction it sits on the stone and the distance between the spine and the stone is going to be the angle that pretty much is going to be the same on, like if you were to measure almost all of the knives I sharpen, you're going to get about the same angle. The sharpening bevel may look wider because it's thicker stock, but here's the thing. Different steels get different angles. You can feel when a steel is not going to be able to do that. But the problem I see with all those Edge Pros, that's not professionally sharpening. It's cheating. And the fact is, it honestly takes, I have an Edge Pro and I try to use it, it takes me 2 to 3 times as long to do it that way when I can do it this way and get what I feel is a better result. I don't like the Edge Pro because the micro striations go the wrong direction. They do. You're not getting it set the way you want it. What knife did I carry in the military? I carried numerous knives. I had one of these that always was somewhere on my vest or something like that. So you had something, because these are nice. This is a Cold Steel Super Edge. They are very good for cutting canvas, line, things like that. It's always nice to have something like this. I always carried a fixed blade of some sort, but 9 times out of 10 I was carrying a little knife. Wait one, and I'll grab something. I know I need these because I had a, I know I saw a comment that I'm going to need a knife for later. But a lot of times a good fixed blade, a good fixed blade is what most guys in the military will tell you that they're going to carry if they're in a situation where they need a knife. They're not going to carry a tactical folder. It's one step, and it's something that could fail. I don't care how good it is. I wouldn't have carried this when I was deployed. I would have carried it, but I definitely would have had a fixed blade on me for any time that I would need it. Lot less chance of failure. What is my opinion? So that was JC. What knife did I carry in the military? Bacon Slayer CM asks, what is your opinion on front flipper knives? I don't like them. I really don't like them. I can't, my hands are too big. None of the front flippers, like the booze blades, smoke. I couldn't get it. It was too big. The Shamari that I did for a guy here not too long ago, I don't like them. I don't like fixed blades, or I mean front flippers. So Sean Liu, how many more subscribers do you plan to get this time next year? I don't know. More, handful. Lance Leon, how you doing, sir? Your knives are here packed up, ready to go to Singapore. Now that I did the video. Assuming you're familiar with them, what are your thoughts on Nick Chirpin Knives and Blackstone Valley Knife Works BVK. They are two of my favorite custom knife makers at the moment, just after Ferrum Forge. I've never had one of them come in, so I don't know. I do not go out and find videos and search things specifically for knife research. I don't have that kind of time. What was it? Somebody asked about my YouTube video. Back to A-Ray's question. He asked how much my YouTube video changed my life. It's a lot more interaction with people. I've met a lot of really cool people. You guys are, like 99% of you guys are really awesome, and it has definitely changed my business structure because I've realized that there's a direct relationship between posting on social media, posting on YouTube, and the amount of work I get. And so I haven't felt great for a few weeks because depression runs in my family, and I've been depressed, and there's times I just didn't want to get out of bed. So there's a direct relation to content and business coming in. So, but I've gotten to meet a lot of really cool people. Actually got to meet Mr. Nick Shabazz the other day. Steve Milk, what is your favorite steel to sharpen? Also, it's different from, is it different from your favorite steel to use? Congratulations on, I like sharpening. I love sharpening Damascus steel. I have a love-hate relationship with SM100. And it's you know, it's a love-hate because it's such a, I mean, I had to spend a lot of time on an SM100 Stinger the other day, and it was a lot of work, but at the end result is it's amazing. I like LMAX, sharpening LMAX, because it's really easy to sharpen, and if it's heat treated well, you get a ridiculously sharp edge. Damascus steel's the same way, and it's not a difference in how sharp, it's how fine that edge is. It's the grain structure of the steel. It's one of my, I have to, LMAX is one of my favorites to sharpen. I used to like to do S35VN, but I really don't. So, not answering any questions, Mario, just the ones that are in this, Marco, I mean. Does Benchmade have as bad of a QC as everyone says? Yes, they do. What is the best angle to sharpen a Benchmade Contigo and M4 at? Whatever angle you want, as long as it's not too shallow. M4 holds pretty good edge. I don't measure angles, guys. I don't. I have never measured angles. I find the good spot for a knife. It just almost comes natural now, and I do it all by hand. I don't measure angles. I have an angle block, I think, somewhere. The measuring device. I don't think it even works right. Nico gave it to me one time. Which diamond spray would be a good, diamond stone would be a good starter stone. If you hate diamond stones, explain. I really don't like diamond stones. I like the Vinev diamond stones. They're more like a water stone, but I don't know. It just depends on what you want. Congrats. Where would you like to see your business go in the future? I'd like to see it where I'm not having to struggle to pay my mortgage, which I haven't paid yet this month because I was waiting on money. It's my mortgage payment right here. It hasn't even been opened. My mortgage payment for August. I barely made mortgage and HOA payment last month. That would be great. Congratulations. So that was Doc Nick. Raphael Rig, congratulations on 3,000. Great channel. How do you strop a recurve blade? I have a Kaiser Lancer with a little apprehensive about trying to touch it up. The strop that I have, that I can't remember the lady that made it, Marla? Yeah, Marla. Made those for me, made one for me. She's made a few for other people on the channel that have ordered them. It has a rounded edge. It has a rounded spot where you can actually load that spot where it curves around the wood. So it has a flat spot, and then a curve, and you can use that. You can also use the corners of your strop, but you can tear your strop up. So, you know, it just depends. Wrap a piece of leather around a piece of pipe lengthways, and you do it that way. I mean, it's just a way to get that radius. Ashton Groves, What steel do you hate sharpening the most and why? Anything that's a cheap, soft, badly heat-treated steel. They're actually harder to heat. They're actually harder to sharpen than the higher-end, knives that have a really good heat treat. It gets hinky because then you're chasing that apex back and forth. It's soft. It's hard to get it. What do you think about recent knives coming out in 2018? I don't follow that. U5FB, I don't follow any of that. Favorite knife to sharpen, least favorite knife to sharpen. This is Brian Miller, and a knife you look forward to sharpening one day. I don't like sharpening recurves. I really don't. That's why I charge extra, and plus you hurt yourself a lot of times. It's dangerous. That's my least favorite. Favorite knife to sharpen? I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it was interesting starting to sharpen the cons for the boys at Fair and Forge. But after 25-piece run, after doing like 20 or 30 of them, you start to get worn out without having, there was times that was the only knife I sharpened for days. I'd get like 9 of them, and I'd spend the entire day sharpening them. So it gets monotonous, and when you're seeing the same knife over and over and over, it can get monotonous and boring. So I really don't think I have a favorite knife to sharpen. Kitchen knives are fun. I like sharpening kitchen knives. They usually are pretty straightforward. MRYMD, Mr. W to Beast. That's what it is. Okay. What is the goal in life you are striving to hardest to accomplish? To keep my daughter from living under an overpass. No, I want her to keep skating. I want her to have a chance to go to the Olympics if that's where this leads. So that's my goal. Everything is for my daughter. I don't care if I ever get to retire. I don't care if I ever have 2 pennies to rub together, as long as she has what she needs to better herself. Len Zielinski, in your opinion, what is your favorite blade steel, and why would you consider the best steel? What do you consider more important, ease of sharpening, edge retention, or edge holding ability? You know what? For me, I like 20 CV. 20 CV is, for some people, it's not easy. It's not the easiest steel to sharpen out there, but it does hold an edge really well, and it does a really good job. For me, that's kind of important because I can sharpen knives. For other people, it'll be different. So that's my favorite blade steel right now would be 20 CV. Marcin Grail. What stone do you like the most for sharpening high vanadium blade? Doesn't really matter. For some of the harder high vanadium steels, I use I'm going to say it again, the Venev diamond stones, because I don't care what this guy keeps trying to tell me about high-speed machining. I'm not high-speed machining. Diamond works fine for high vanadium steels if you're not generating any heat. So for those, because I'm not going to say they cut faster. They don't wear out as easily as some of my other stones. Limpeh, P-E-H, L-I-M-P-E-H. If you are going to sharpen knives freshly, why don't you employ a faster method? No, this is the whole thing back to it. It's not faster. And take in more customers. I can take in as many customers. I can work as many hours as I want. I own my own business. I know you like, so this is Joe Flo. I know you like 20 CV as a blade steel. How about carbon steel and semi-stainless steel? Which are your favorites? I prefer, for a knife that is going to spend a lot of time on my pocket, I prefer a stainless. A good, robust stainless that's not going to rust. For like kitchen knives, you want to stick with stainless because you can get some flavor changes with carbon steel depending on the acidity of what you're cutting. It's not that I mind the patina. I've got a few knives in a drawer upstairs that still has the carbon steel on the blade, and it's got a patina on it, but it just depends. My favorite is a good stainless, a good high quality stainless. Artisan blade was the best angle to sharpen a Recon 1. I found a cold steel XHP much more difficult to sharpen than Spyderco's XHP. What do you want? That's actually 2 questions. It's 2 questions. I should have disqualified you. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. The Recon 1, it just depends on what angle you want on it. If you're going to do a lot of chopping and things, you want a more blunt angle. If you're going to do a lot of slicing, you want a thinner angle, or you cut it down the middle and give yourself a medium angle. That's for you guys that use those. Cold Steel did a very Cold Steel's heat treat. That is one. There's a couple things you can say about Cold Steel. Probably some of the best lockup, the best locks. I mean, the most robust locks on the market. They have a liner lock that they did on the Tylite that is amazing. I don't like liner locks, and the liner lock on that knife is amazing. And the other thing is their heat treat is always good. I've never seen a Cold Steel that had a shitty heat treat. So that's why it's different. Spyderco's heat treat on XHP, I didn't like it. I did not like any of the knives. I had two Spyderco's. I had a native and something else. And I wound up giving one of them to my brother-in-law, and I gave one to somebody else. I did not like the heat treat on them. Crystalla Lim CK. Happy 3K sub celebration. Going to get some standard KME stones, vanilla binded stones for KME. What do you think of them? Do you think I should get them? I actually did a review of the Vanilla diamond stones. They have their own video on my channel. I like them. I like them a lot. They are really good. What is your dream car? This is Blade Works, WORX. What's my dream car? I really like the new. I really like the new Corvette Stingrays. After that, it would be something old, probably an El Camino Super Sport, something like that. Something my dad had one of those. He also had a Chevelle Super Sport. One of those two. Ken Kelly, Michael, how did you develop your method of sharpening in your hand as opposed to on a flat surface? I asked because I sharpen with the stone at an angle against a blade as opposed to the blade against the stone. Appreciate your knowledge. It's just something I grew up out in the woods, and you don't have, you got a little stone, you put it in your hand, you go like this, and then I just kind of modified it from there to try and get myself that convex edge, which I was kind of already getting. I just didn't realize it, and I had went to bigger stones and tried doing them on a flat surface, and then wound up coming back to this. Like crap, 42 minutes, we're not even close to the end. Papa Rich, what is your favorite way to store your high-end knife? In my pocket. It's always in my pocket. I have a knife case that the knives sit down in if I need to travel with them. I take them to the shop with me a lot. Most of the time my hand knives, they're in my pocket several days a week. Acidity Block Shifty. There was someone in that in another YouTube video said something about how you're not supposed to sharpen knives with diamond stones. I didn't really catch why. Is it because they magnetize the steel? Does that magnetization? No, none of those things happen. It doesn't. Magnetizing your knife does not do anything except make it a little harder to clean up while you're sharpening, because if the blade is magnetized, you may have spots like some knives that go on the wall block that's a magnet, which I have one. I've just never mounted it. It magnetizes part of the blade, and when you're sharpening it, the metal powder will build up in certain areas near the tip and in the middle and the heel, and it's just lines of flux from the magnetism, and it doesn't affect anything. It just makes it harder to wipe off while you're sharpening, especially on the coarser stones. Has nothing to do with that. I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to, it's the same question. Sharpen system to buy. A lot of us, I don't recommend any sharpening systems. Blades that have a slight recurve, you just need a narrower stone or post. I already did, Steve. That's the last question I'm going to answer on here. Didn't really want to spend much money on whetstones. Fastest, easiest way, curved rod stones with diamond abrasive. There's a bunch of different ways to do recurves. That's still acidity block shifty. Truth. What anode color makes the best? What anode color takes the best, and what color takes the worst? And in your opinion, what are the best all-around steel for knife? There's not one that, it depends on how you prep your material, and that's where some of the price comes in. There's a lot of prep work that goes into the anodizing. The anodizing is the fastest part of it. It literally takes seconds. You set your voltage. It's the prep that goes into it. It's getting that titanium prepared, making sure that there's no oxide layer on it, making sure that you've got a good substrate for the finish you're wanting. Some colors will show up way different on stonewash than they do on blasted. Peter, the guy that's on here, to get the color that he sent me required I blasted it. But the problem with that is those blasted finishes collect oil really well because it's a very pitted, lots of open surface area. A stonewash would have made it color differently. So that's it. How much are sharpening and anode charges? Ryan Faircloth. It depends. A basic refinish starts at $100 plus sharpening. So you're looking at between 125 and 135. If you want something over the top, like if you want a satin, you're adding at least $50. If you want a satin and ano, if you want a satin and ceramic, it's almost double. It's because you have to do two separate, distinct preparations. You have to do your preparation for the ceramic, which is blasted, and then you coat your ceramic, and then you have to do your secondary prep of the surface for the anodizing, or the satin takes forever. Satin is a pain in the ass, and to get it right. A hand rub satin is even longer. So the satins that I've been doing are on a belt, and to get a satin to come out where you don't have to do it right and not have areas that look darker and scratches going wrong, it takes a lot of time, and you have to take your time and you work a little bit and you lift it and you check and you see what points, you make sure you're putting even consistent pressure, and sometimes it takes a very long time to get it right, and especially on the lock bar side when it's been pre-bent, to get the satin on that side really hard. So polished is another one. You want a polished finish, it's going to be about $200 plus sharpening, because one, polishing takes forever, and two, not answering questions on this video. I'm answering questions from a previous video for the giveaway. Polishing takes forever, and to get it consistent takes a long time, and there's a lot of heat. You burn your fingers. The grinding wheel has a tendency to like to grab things and throw it, so that's why it costs more for that. Sharpening is pretty much standard. If it's not a recurve, it starts at $25 and goes up depending on what grit you want, all the way to $35. If it's a recurve or a tonto or a double-edged blade, it starts at $35 and it goes up from there. And SM100, this was the last SM100 knife I'm doing at $35 and adding. They're going to start at $45. They take forever. And I'm going to say that because SM100 is a specialty metal. It's not steel, and it requires a specific way of sharpening. And every one of them I've gotten that has not been one of my friends that had Elliot do any maintenance or anything to it, and then every one of them, somebody has screwed up that edge pretty bad on their own. Mellow Man Mace, will the Efficient come with an Emler edge? Of course, all of my giveaways come with an Emler edge. Anthony Albino, what company do you think does the best, most consistent factory edge bevels? North Arms. Skaha, best factory edge. Grimsmo used to do a really good one, and I don't know what they're doing differently now. Their edges are almost rounded and blunted, and they're well polished, but they're just not sharp. It's hit or miss. Riat, for a long time, had extremely good factory edges, and now I've gotten a few that are not great. We usually has a pretty consistent, has a really consistent edge. Whoever's doing their sharpening does a very good job on that. And then, of course, me. My factory edges are amazing because they're all done by hand, with the exception of Vipers that get done on belt, but still, that is ridiculous, sticky sharp. Ask anybody that's gotten one. They are crazy retarded sharp. Axel Vapor. What do you do for relaxing when you're not working? I drink. I drink a lot. No, I'm kidding. I smoke pot. No, I watch. A lot of times I work all the time, especially when my wife is gone. As long as it's not too hot, I'll be underneath that canopy and puttering around at something and out there, and I watch YouTube videos, and they just kind of run in the background. And I watch, when I'm sharpening, I watch movies that I've seen a bunch of times. That way I'm not I'm not too interested in it. But a lot of times this is stuff that I do when I'm relaxing, is I will do a YouTube video or talk to you guys. Let's see here. Roger B, do I have a middle name? Yes, it's John. I am named after two people. My father had a brother that died weeks after birth. His name was Johnny. And my mother had a miscarriage, and had it been a boy, his name would have been Michael something. And so I'm named after the child that my mother lost, and my father's brother that passed away shortly after birth, right on Christmas, which is why my father hated Christmas. And oddly enough, my father as well passed away on Christmas. Isn't that weird how that happens? So Sakai Lansai, I really enjoy your videos on steel talk. Can you list all the high-end steels? Which brands do the best heat treat? No, I will not do this. Cold Steel does an excellent heat treat on XHP. Yes, you're right. Most Benchmades do. They do have a pretty good heat treat on their stuff. It's just a problem of that they do a shitty grind, and then that good heat treat means that it's going to take a while to reprofile all that. Finger cuts. Do you like a big chopper? Question mark. And what steel is the best for big chopper in your 3V and 4V? 3V is pretty good. It's a really good steel for a chopper. Pretty corrosion resistant compared to its cousin 4V, which is amazing in a chopper, but horrible when it comes to corrosion. It will rust. I've refinished a couple of the Ferrum Forge Ferox knives, and they had a 4V blade, and by the time you blast them to put the ceramic and then wash them off and get them in the ceramic, if you are not fast enough, it will rust that fast. It's really hard to get a good ceramic coating on 4V because it'll rust between the sink and the ceramic. Kenneth Roberts, will they tear the stadium down now that the Chargers aren't there? No, they have a bid in. There's a couple people that have bids in. Soccer City was trying to get it in. Friends of SDSU is another company that's not actually associated with UCSD or and not actually associated with the college, but they are trying to get a hold of that stadium and do things with it. They're not going to tear it down. And they still do events. They do a lot of events at the stadium. There's stuff that they do. Larry Robinson, what's your favorite blade steel? Already talked about that one. Dylan White, congratulations on 3,000. What's the most expensive knife you've ever sharpened? Ooh. I don't know, because a lot of times customers don't tell me what their knives cost, but I know I have sent things back insured for $3,600, $3,700. That's an expensive package to send. So I know I've sharpened a couple of custom knives that were probably well over a couple $1,000s. Nico's got an $1,800 knife I sharpened. I've owned knives that were in that price range that I used to sharpen. It just depends. This is probably a $1,000 knife. If you were to buy it, I don't know what. Not nosy. Didn't ask Matt and Nico what they paid for it when they bought it for me as a gift and had Elliot make it. So, Anthony Zulietta. No, I'm not pronouncing that right, but I don't care. Do I like ballad songs? No, I do not like ballad songs, and so do I have a favorite? I do. I take that back. I do like ballad songs. They're fun, but they're not functional, really. And I foresee... My favorite was... it's a Benchmade Bowie one. I can't remember the model number. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, Benchmade ballad song that they made, and I can't remember the number. It's not the old, really expensive one. It's a newer one. I did one for a friend of mine that made Chief. Congratulations on 3,000. This is Jeremy Elliott. Thanks for the giveaway. What's your favorite fixed blade under $100 and why? I love the Mora knives, all of them, but the Companion. The Mora knives Companion is right around 12 bucks, and it's an amazing knife. Brett Sanders, what was your first knife? we've went through this before, but this was my first knife. I still have it. That's why I went to my case a little bit ago. I still have it. It is a little Camelus silver sword that my dad got me. His first knife I ever owned. I still carry it from time to time. If you see my maker's mark, if you get a knife from me and you see the maker's mark, that's the maker's mark you're going to see, which is my father carved my initials on this for me. I'm trying to get it so I can get it lasered in, and then it would be my father's handwriting. That would be amazing. What was my first? This is Andrew Thompson. What was your first higher end production knife? It was my Sebenza. It was my Spider, or my Chris Reeve Sebenza. Was my first higher end knife, and I still have one. I sold one that was worn. It was beat up, and immediately regretted it and bought one. I don't foresee. I thought about selling it for a while, but I know what would happen is I'd have remorse. I'd have seller's remorse, and I just don't have another $410 to throw into it. I will say that there's knives out there now that, at the same price point, are well above a Sebenza. I've got knives that are well below that outperform my Sebenza. My Mass Drop Gent is one of them. It honestly outperforms my Sebenza. It really does. It's the same steel. It's a titanium on titanium lockup. It's a little bit smaller. The edge holds better, and it's not as bulky. It's a better knife, in my opinion. Andrew Apodaca, what? You were on the Dubuque. If so, were you on the Juno before that? No. The Dubuque was replaced by the Juno. And I was on shore duty at the time, already a first-class petty officer, and did the ammunition swap because I worked at the ordnance facility. I did the full offload of the Dubuque to replace the Juno. I think you have it backwards. You're thinking, I was on the Dubuque in Japan, not on the Dubuque in San Diego. So, but all of that happened, that happened 2000. That was one of the hull swaps. It was the first time the Navy did a hull swap. It was like one of the first two where instead of sending a ship and the entire crew swapped, basically the Juno came over, the Dubuque crew took the Juno, and the Juno crew took the Dubuque and then brought it back, and now they were the Dubuque crew. So if you were in San Diego, you stayed in San Diego. If you were in Japan, you stayed in Japan. You didn't have to worry about, oh crap, they're rotating us, and now you had to move and all that stuff. So, no. I was on the Dubuque from 93 to 97, and the hull swap was not until 2001 or 2002, I believe. Robert Tang, are you into watches? No. I used to have a bunch of high-end knives. The house got robbed. They got stolen. I don't have them anymore. I have an Apple Watch, and I have a Casio. What do I have? No, I have a G-Shock. That's it. That's what I got. I have a pretty expensive watch. It's like a dress watch that I don't wear. Brenda de Guzman, where would you be able to find quality whetstones above 6,000 grit? You want to take it further? I have this guy's card, and I know it's probably backwards, but it is the www Sharpener Now, S-H-A-R, or Sharper Now, www.sharpernow.com. That's the last place that I got stuff. They do a great job. They usually have stuff that's in stock. You can go to Amazon. I got a better deal from these guys. I got it quicker, and they had stuff I was looking for that was not in stock anywhere else, not even on the Edge Pro website. Congratulations. This is Steve Saul. Congratulations on 3,000 subs. Should I learn to sharpen convex edges or just say screw it and flatten them out? I don't know. I like convex. I like my convex edges, and so do the boys, the Ferrum Forge guys. Christopher has specifically said it. He goes, you know, I questioned it when we decided we're gonna have you sharpen our knives. He's like, I'm on the Emler edge train. He said that convex edge is. I've done a couple of his personal knives. He said that edge is a good bit better, more resilient. It lasts longer, and he's like, it's just all around. It's a little bit better. So here, I forgot I could do this. Here is for you guys for the guy that was asking, Dull Knife Terminator, www.sharpener now.com, and there's an email and a phone number. You can get a hold of them that way. They are in New Wilmington, Pennsylvania, which is not that far from where I grew up. Thomas Honia. Hello, sir. Really enjoy your videos. I'd like to know what you think about ceramic rods for sharpeners. I was talking about that in a live feed yesterday, I believe, where the rods don't make as much contact and you get a wavy edge. I mean, if you're just touching things up, it's not that bad, but I don't like the ceramic rods. Plus, they're not as abrasive. They don't get you quite where you're going. They're usually not aggressive enough to take out a lot of the damage that you want that you have. You're going to need to put them on a stone. Entranced Vermin. Hello, Michael. My questions is, if you move to Arizona, will you opening a dedicated shop for knife sharpening or making? No, I will probably still do it out of my garage. I don't foresee making enough money to have an off-site area. CM42ME Jones. My future son-in-law is a freshly minted marine and beats the hell out of knives. Can you recommend one we could gift him that could take the abuse? Congratulations on 3,000K. Depending on what kind of knife you're looking at, I will tell you, as much as I bagged on cold steel, if you're looking for something affordable, because I'm not going to lie to you, Marines are hard on stuff. Marines have a tendency to lose things. Things get stolen. Marines get stuff stolen all the time. It's inherent when you're on deployment. Things get stolen. You lift something on your LBE, it's gone. You basically just gave it away. So I would say a good knife would be something that you would be able to, let me read it again here, a gift that would take the abuse. A good cold steel, a decent cold steel. If you want, you can find me on Instagram and we can discuss that further. But I would say something along the lines like a cold steel AK-47. I loved that knife. It got bulky to the point where I couldn't wear it in slacks and it tore up pockets, but you know, things like that. Jin Do Right. Hey Mike, what do you think of the Zero Tolerance 0609? Don't know. I couldn't tell you what model that is. It's like Kershaw and Benchmade. They have numbers for their stuff. I know what a Benchmade 940 is, and I know what a Zero Tolerance 0300 is, because I've owned the ZT 0300, and I've always wanted a Benchmade 940. Jake, cousin Jake. So what would you do to my Fortis if I sent it? Sharpen it, of course, but anodizing. I may leave it up to you, but to give it a good idea. The thing what I did on the Hornet, where I did the black and then I rolled that thing in a tumbler for hours and hours and hours and hours and took everything off and then anodized it green, would probably look good on that. But I mean, we could also just do a blast and tumble and black hardware like mine. I think that's a really good look. My pocket clip and screws are black and the rest of it is just a bare stonewash titanium. So, but we can talk about that later. Preston Elkins, how would you go about fixing a knife that arrives with a burnt tip, assuming you either want to or can't use don't want to or can't use the warranty? Let's say it gets up to purple blue at the very tip. That's a difficult one. I would probably send it back. I would send it back and take photos of it, and if it's like a Benchmade, I would definitely take photos of what you're sending, contact them, let them know why you're sending it and things like that. Because if it gets straw colored at the edge, you can kind of sharpen that out because it's just right at the very apex. But if it's like the entire bevel, like the primary grind and tip and everything, you're not gonna be able to do anything about it. You really aren't. You could, I imagine, you could try and reheat treat, but then it's gonna warp and it's never gonna fit back in that knife properly. I would say use the warranty. Justin Davis, what angle would you sharpen an S&G at? Don't know. I've sharpened a couple of them. I could not tell you what the angle is. It's whatever angle feels appropriate for that knife. I do it all freehand. So what are your thoughts? So this is Hager Jhite, J-H-I-T-E. I don't know how you pronounce that. It might be white. I don't know. What are your thoughts on 154 cm and how difficult it is to sharpen? It's not difficult at all. It's a good steel. It's one of the older super steels that first came out. It's a lot like 154 cm is a lot like I think it's a lot like a powdered version of 440C, I believe. I don't remember. What is my this is Eric Jacobson. It's my favorite production fixed blade knife. I'm not gonna lie. I have one of the old original cold steel SRKs in the old original carbon V steel, carbon 5 steel. That's one of them up there, but like I said before, my favorite production fixed blade knives are the Mora Companion. Those Mora knives with the Scandi grind, they are amazing. They are $12 and they are ridiculously sharp. They're carbon steel, but the nice thing is at $12, if something happens to it, if it gets really rusty, it gets wet, and you forget to get it cleaned off, you just throw it away and spend another $12. The sheaths are unique. They work well. I use mine for meat processing. When we buy large amounts of, like, we'll buy a pork loin that's like 3-4 feet long, and I'll cut that into roasts, and I'll cut of it and things like that. And that's the knife I'm going to use because it's by far the sharpest knife I own. Here we go. So my friend BW told me about this. He said, what are the advantage of phased plasma rifles in the 40-watt range versus 30 for a friend? Okay, so we talked about this. I told him I was going to answer this, and I have an actual answer for this. There's problems with using a pulse, a plasma rifle or pulse rifle like from Aliens. Plasma will dissipate if it's not contained, so every one of those projectiles would basically have to be a glass container containing the plasma with inputs so that the blade, the gun itself actually would charge the helium atmosphere inside that glass tube to create your high heat treat, your extremely high heat plasma with magnetic caps on each end that then would magnetically contain the plasma while they got shot out as a projectile. It would have to be a type of glass that would be able to handle the force of being fired, but also break on impact to give you the full effect of the plasma. Makes sense? I know stuff. What's a good angle for a D2 EDC blade? Don't know. I don't measure angles. That was Marley Latham. Matthew Linder, in your opinion, what is the best? Who is the best at heat treating? For production companies, there's a couple of them. Like I said, cold steel, always amazing. Cold steel is always good. Let's see, who else? Benchmade, honestly, I can't complain about Benchmade. Farron Forge, their heat treat stuff, especially on these last couple runs, on this last run, I mean, is that super insane heat treat that he does on 20 CV. So basically, that's about. I know there's other companies out there. Boker's hit or miss. Sometimes their steels are heat treated pretty well. Nathan Hefner, congratulations on 3,000 stubs. Does degrees per side, does DPS, degrees per side, matter that much in terms of performance if all other things in a particular knife are equal, except, of course, the extremes and angle? Mainly asking about 15, 17, 20. It depends on the steel. You don't want too thin of an edge, but in all actuality, there's two things at play. The thickness of the blade behind the edge, which some of Elliott's knives are historically really thick behind the edge and are not great slicers. You have to bring your angle back and thin that bevel out to account for that. If everything on the knife was equal, it would have to be, you can't really say the degrees per side on a knife, like your overall inclusive angle is going to be determined by what you're going to do with that knife, the steel of the knife, and things like that. So I really can't give you an answer. It affects the performance of the knife. Sometimes it affects it. If it's too steep, it affects it adversely, and if it's too shallow, it'll affect it adversely, because if you get too thin of an edge, it just won't stay. It gives up and it folds over. So I hope that's good enough. Dave Sugamora. Dave Sugamora, what do you think about Cold Steel XHP versus their S35? I haven't seen too much of their S35, but I do know that I like their XHP. Big Daddy 050970. Do you sharpen single edge Japanese chef's knives? Yes, the chisel grounds. I do sharpen those. They are not my favorite thing to sharpen, but I do it. Ian Bowser, congratulations on 3,000 subs. Mike, my question is the following. If you could spend 24 hours with anyone in history of mankind, whether they are alive or dead, who would it be and why? My father, because I miss him. That's who I would spend that time with. To tell you the truth, I would give up being able to learn something from Einstein or meet Mr. Robert Lovelace, who is an insanely talented knife maker. I would give up a chance at all that to spend another day with my father. This is Chase Boatwright. What's up, Chase? Congratulations on 3,000. If you had a knife company, what would the name of the company be? AH Knives. Ass Hat Knives. Or ES Knives. Because I know that dealing with customers in the knife community, sometimes you want to tell them to eat shit, so you just put it in the name. ES Knives. Nah, I'm kidding. It would probably stay Crazy Sharp. I mean, I'd do my sharpening under that name. It would probably just be Crazy Sharp Knife Works or something like that. So, jeez, this thing's moving around. Skovbo65, SKOVBO 65. Which steel do you consider the best for an EDC folder if you are considering both edge retention and ease of sharpening? Here's the thing. There is no one steel that's going to meet the requirements of everybody. So I really don't have an answer for that. For me, I like the higher end stuff that's going to hold edge a little bit better because I know I can sharpen it. For some people, it's going to be, I'd rather have to sharpen it more often and not have to kill myself trying to sharpen it and have specific things. Like Maximet. Great, I know everybody says Maximet holds an edge forever. That's great, but when you do have to sharpen it, if you have to have specific tools and it's that touchy and it takes forever, it's not worth it. So some of the people were like, oh, now that you have the stones that you could do it with, do you think you would sharpen Maximet? I talked with a couple people and they're like, oh yeah, it takes like a couple hours. I don't have that kind of time to invest, and you guys don't have that kind of money. For me to put 2 hours worth of work in a knife, you're looking at $100 plus to sharpen. It's just the way it is. Because if I can do two or three knives an hour, and then I hit that one and it takes a couple hours, well, that time is money. Time is money, and customers would get upset about that, and so I didn't even offer it. But the fact is, if I did do it, it would be an extremely expensive sharpening. And if people got upset, you know, oh, well, all your other knives are, you know, this and that. The fact is, there's a saying that I heard a couple people tell me now. He's like, just remember, customers can get upset, but the fact is, what they eat don't make you shit. So you have to look at, what am I doing? I know the customer wants it, which is why I just don't do it. I can't, in good conscience, charge that much. SM100's expensive enough to sharpen. You're looking at $45 to start basically from now on. I just did the last one at $35, and it wound up being, I think, $50 because of all the reprofiling, which is not easy on 20CV. So, or I mean, SM100. So B33LZE6U6. I'm not gonna try and decipher you guys' things anymore. What is the knife that started my hobby? Well, I mean, I could say that it's this one. I've always loved knives. My father always had knives. My father bought me knives and guns over Christmas presents. So, matter of fact, this is another knife that was given to me by my father after I joined the Navy. It's a little It's not a real expensive knife. It's a little Barlow. It's got some plastic scales with scrimshaws on it. My dad never got me a knife case. So I'd have to say it's probably this one. The first knife I ever owned. It's been carried so much that, I mean, you can see it. It's all jacked up. That pocket wear is ridiculous. So what you're seeing is the finish that the blade had, and then that is all just pocket wear, where it has worn it polished. It has worn it polished. I think this had like maybe a tumbled finish when it originally was made. All right, Pie Slayer. Any cheaper Corsa stones you know of for the Wicked Edge? Worn mine out. Nope, don't know anything about Wicked Edge stones. I don't use a Wicked Edge, so I don't know anything about the stones. Go to that website I just showed the card for a little bit ago. Pisa Bandit. What else works for sharpening compounds? I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, you can, anything that will dull a knife will technically sharpen a knife. If it is abrasive enough to remove an edge from a knife and make it dull, it is abrasive enough to inversely do the same thing. But I mean, you can spend a lot of time stropping on cardboard, and it's going to take you a while. But you know, it also depends on the hardness of the steel. So stick with what is known as far as water stones, oil stones, ceramics, things like that. When you're, this is Matt Jones, when it's time to pass a knife down to your kids, which knife would it be and why? My daughter's actually getting my father's, my Entac's on the counter in the bathroom. I left it sit on the kitchen counter, or bathroom counter. She's getting his Entac. I bought him one as a retirement gift. As soon as it gets here, it's hers. My knives, my daughter can have any of my knives. They'll be all passed down to her. They're all going to be left to her. So I want her, and most definitely she gets this. This is actually already hers. It goes back in my case, that way I know where it's at. But this is her knife. I gave this to her already. What's your opinion? So this is Decker Hoffmeister. What is your opinion on 204P, and what do you use to sharpen it? 204P is the same as M390. It is the same as 20CV. And I use the same things to sharpen 204P that I use everything else. Aluminum oxide stones, if I'm in, you know, I now have those Benev diamond stones, which works pretty good on it, and then I put a final polish on it with my Choceras running from 3,000 all the way up to 10,000. And then I have a ceramic that's 12,000. If somebody wants to pay the premium for that, we'll do the 12,000. Pro Paintball PSN. As far as knives go, what's your favorite handle material based off how they feel in your hands? I like titanium. I like titanium because it lasts longer. There's not as many chances of chipping, cracking, delaminating. I have had a couple knives that had G10 handles that came unlaminated around the pivot hole, like it just chipped. So that's I like titanium because it's more robust. It's metal, you know. It's really hard to fuck titanium up. Oren Wolf, if you had to choose one reasonably priced knife that you could use for the next few years, what would it be? Reasonably priced knife? Cold Steel Tough Light. I did a video, damn near perfect. That was the name of the video. Cold Steel Tough Light, almost perfect, I think is what the title was. What knife have I had the longest? This would be Kyrie McCourt. Already talked about his first knife I ever owned. Jace Lau, ZT has been boring so far this year. What do you think? ZT is always boring. They try to do the tactical overbuilt tank stuff. It's played out. Nobody needs a tactical folder. Military guys don't even carry a tactical folder. Military guys will carry a overbuilt, but then they've started realizing that's not even really so much the way to go. So this is Tobin Gensler. What is the best way to sharpen a karambit? Send it to me. No, you need a very thin, very narrow stone in multiple grits, because that's going to get you. Let's see here. It's going to get you where you want. Michael Drew, does a knife scale have to be raw or plain titanium finish to do a Statue of Liberty anno? I don't call it Statue of Liberty. I don't use the names for it that the boys at Fair and Forge do. I have one's patina copper. I actually use a different voltage green and a different voltage bronze than they do as well, that I think gives it more of a what do you want to call it? More of a contrast, and I also don't tumble it quite as long sometimes. No, it does not have to be, because if you send me a knife for refinish, I'm gonna take it apart, and I would have to anyway take and blast the surface to remove any oxide layer, and then do the green, and then do a stone wash, and then do the bronze. That's an expensive finish. That I've realized that is, you're doing a lot of extra. So you have to prep the finish for the green, and then you have to do a stone wash, and then you have to go back and do your bronze. And so that's another finish that's going to be in the 150 range. But no, you can do it. I can do it on, even if it's got a coating. Say it's been Cerakoted, the titanium's been Cerakoted, I can still do that. I will no longer, however, I'm telling you right now, unless you just want a blast and tumble finish on aluminum, I'm not going to try and do ceramic on aluminum. There's too much of a difference in the way titanium, or the way aluminum conducts electricity. It really screws the finish up. It does not look near the way you want it to. And the winner, 13. Oh wait, no, there's one before that. Chase 20CV. What is your opinion on Spyderco with them doing sprint runs exclusively Galactic blade steels and things like that, they are dominant. No other company is offering as many steels for you to try out. I'm not a fan of their blade designs at first, but now I know folders. It just depends. You know, I like the way Spyderco's going, where they have some budget models which are well built and things like this. Has got some blade play that I'm gonna have to rectify before I send it out. But I like the direction they're going with offering things that are almost like an upgrade and maintaining the usability of knives. Their knives are always pretty good. This one is not something that would fit in my hand real well. I don't like that as much as some of the other knives. But overall, I like all their knives, and the fact that you can kind of pick and choose what steel you want to get, I think that's pretty cool. I really do think that's pretty interesting and pretty cool. So this is 1326. What is the knife you regret selling or trading away? I don't have one that I regret selling or trading away. I really don't. Anything I got rid of for a reason, except the time that I did sell that Sbenza and wanted another one, and so I bought a newer one that had some issues. I bought it brand new. It's not like somebody screwed up and put those issues. So let's see here. Yeah, I don't regret getting rid of anything now that I have a replacement Spencer. Jake H, what knife started your love for knives and sharpening? Do I still have it? Yeah, like I said, it's this one. It's that little cheapy thing that I would never get rid of. Everything else in my case would go. This, I would be emotionally wrecked if this knife came up missing. And that's why I told my daughter, I was like, you can have it, but I don't want it going anywhere until you're old enough that I know you're not going to lose it. That was Jake H. Charles Anderson, Mr. Anderson. What would you rather fight, 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck? I don't know. Ducks and horses are both pretty fucking mean. I think I'd be able to shoot a horse-sized duck, take it out with one shot. 100 duck-sized horses. Take a lot of bullets. Tea is good. Chuck, how have you been, sir? If you could meet any knife maker, bladesmith, who would it be and why? Robert Lovelace. I love Lovelace knives. I looked at their stuff. I looked at the knives that he made. They are gorgeous. They are immaculate. And the fact that basically knife companies, or steel company, named a steel after him. RWL. Robert, forget what his middle name is. I think Robert William Lovelace. RWL 34. He has a knife steel named after him. The guy was amazing, gorgeous work. Stuff that he made goes for $10,000 to $12,000, sometimes more. I saw a set of Loveless steak knives. They were like fucking $6,000 each. To buy the set would have been insane. And it would marked as $6,000 each, but it said will not break up set. I was like, holy shit. It's like, that's a fucking 8-piece set at $6,000 a fucking knife. Gorgeous. That would be who I would want to meet. Jack Tansen, do you think China is going to dominate the knife market in the future? I do. I honestly do. I fucking hate to say it, but I honestly do. I think that these folks that are blind to what's going on, that throw a fit when somebody makes a knife in China and just, or even gets the machining done and so, oh, you got your parts made in China. So fucking what? Guess what? If I make a production knife, it's going to be from a Chinese company, because guess what? No one, and I've fucking tried to like lay that design around to other fucking knife companies. It's going to be a Chinese company, because the fact is the price point would be too high to hit the market. Guess what? They already are. They already are. There's a couple other companies, Kaiser. There's companies out there that are just putting out a better product. Now, Kaiser has had some issues with heat treat on some of their S35VN, I will admit that. They are dominating. And these guys that are selling to the same market, their customer base is dying, literally, because the guys that are fucking so stuck on this are getting old. A lot of them are a little bit older than me, and you see in knife shows, that's the old dudes with the beard and like, oh, I fucking would never buy a Chinese-made knife. Guess what? American makers, those guys are dying. And pretty soon, you're gonna not have a customer base, and I did a video about it, and I'll equate it to Toys R Us. If you don't adapt to the current market, you're never gonna make it. You're just gonna keep digging yourself further into debt, and your company's gonna fold and all that shit. Toys R Us did not adopt online sales when Amazon hit them. When Amazon came out, fucking Toys R Us was like, fuck that. They're a fucking book company, and now they sell some stuff online. I don't really worry about this. Who's gonna buy fucking toys online? We're Toys R Us. We put KB Toys out of business. We're it. We are the toy business. We got kids singing our jingle. Guess what? They tried later, and it was too late. Toys R Us is bankrupt, because guess what? America is all about these days. What can I do without putting on pants? I hate to say it, it's true. So that's my correlation between not adapting to your environment and you become extinct. So custom knife makers, watch out. You can't keep doing business the way you've been doing it. That was Jack Tansen. Chris Wallace, have you ever tried to hone a knife with a Dremel and a buffing wheel? I'm not even gonna answer that. Honestly, not even gonna answer that. That's... Toxic Flipper, what's your favorite finish on titanium? It just depends on the knife. Depends on the knife and how it should look. I love the blue and bronze, polished blue and bronze, but the thing is, it is so difficult. I like to do any knife, pretty much any knife you get for me is going to have somewhere on it where it's orange peeled to contrast with the rest of the finish. Unless you tell me not to. Backspace or pocket clip, something's gonna be orange peeled. I like that look in contrast with some of the other. Jones, period, that's it. What are your current thoughts on LMAX? Is it too brittle, chippy, hard for outdoor use? No, it's not. It actually is really good. It's really robust and things like that. LMAX anyway. Am I back? Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Sorry about that. My phone's trying to overheat. It's like 90-something degrees in here in the kitchen. And yes, I know I'm not sweating. I don't sweat. Spent enough time in Iraq, Kuwait, and Afghanistan that, well, more Iraq and Kuwait. Spent enough time there that when it gets hot, I'll start to sweat, and then my body goes, it's not that hot. You remember what hot was. As far as that apexing thing, I just work it out evenly, and I eyeball it, and I just kind of get a feel for when I have done enough work on one side and I adjust. It's almost second nature. I don't even think about it anymore, but I do spend more time on the short side to even it, the side that's misground the wrong way, to tie it in. So it just depends. I mean, it's all a matter of just how you do it. Robert Douglas from Canada. Congratulations, nice blade. Easy, no question. Let's see. I got to go back up. Steve Bledsoe. There's not many comments left. We're almost done. What is your favorite budget knife steel combo? Qualifiers under 150 bucks. Love the channel. I already said it. My favorite budget knife and steel combo is the Mora knives with their Sandvik. It's like a Sandvik carbon steel, Sandvik steel. It's really good. And they're 12 bucks. Another one would be, like I said, the Cold Steel Tough Light in AUS or AUS 8. Tactical Teach. What's the best budget sharpening system in your opinion? I don't know. I really don't think there is one, to tell you the truth. It's kind of hard to pick one. Austin Attaway. Could you eat off the deck of a naval vessel? You could. Take your life in your own hands, but you could. They're not that clean. I mean, you clean every day, but are you getting it? I mean, you're basically sweeping and with a dirty broom and mopping with a mop that has been sitting around for like 24 hours since the last time it used, and you don't have a lot of cleaning supplies. Sometimes you're just mopping with just hot water. I wouldn't. Bloggy Lim, what's your best sharpening work and why? I don't know. I really don't know. I would have to say the SM100 stuff is the stuff I'm proudest of, because I have put together a combination of stones, because SM100 does not like all stones. Ceramic, it does not like. Diamond stones, really does not like. Diamond stropping compound, you can't use it if you push too hard. So there's a lot of elements that go into SM100 that make it a high-level task. And that's, I would have to say, that would be my best sharpening work, because I've bent a substance that doesn't want to do what I'm doing to it to my will. That makes me happy. Dwayne Smotherman, Mr. S. Smotherman. For the subscribers have been here for a while, we have heard many great stories. Could you tell how you and your wife met, and was there an issue with language or anything like that, marrying someone from another country? If it's too personal, I understand, but I know her and your daughter are your rock. Also, Mike, this central air conditioning is too damn cold this year in my house. How's yours, buddy? He knows I don't have air conditioning. I talked to Dwayne about, it's been a little less now, but I had been talking to Dwayne pretty much daily. As a matter of fact, I talked to him yesterday for about 30 minutes. How my wife and I met. You guys ready for this? This will be a little bit longer one. We'll see if I can get it done quick and easy and in a timely manner. So I was stationed in Japan. My roommate at the time, really good friend of mine, Alan Hawthorne, who's still in the Navy, he's a chief. He was actually the Navy's bosun mate, which is what you call the guy that's on Old Ironsides. He was the chief bosun mate in charge of all deck operations on that old bitch, which is an honor if you're in the Navy. If anybody that would know anything about that in the Navy would be like, holy shit, that is a fucking honor to even be able to be stationed there, let alone be in charge of deck operations. So he and I lived together. We would drive to a town called Fukuoka, which was about an hour and a half away. We'd go there pretty regularly, and we get hotel rooms. You know, we'd take girls back to our hotel rooms and shit. I'm not gonna lie, we were just out for a good time, because you didn't know when the next time the ship was gonna get underway, how long it was gonna be before you got to have a good time. So that was a gift from Frankie. Sorry, I knew I wasn't gonna respond. But anyway, so my friend and I go out and had set it up. We were meeting, I'd called ahead, met a couple girls, and they got there, and just, it wasn't going well. And then there was a couple girls that walked by. These girls just basically left, that we were like, well, that shot that date down. And then there's a couple girls that walk in that, unbeknownst to me, I had met my wife months and months earlier when she was dating a kid that worked for me. Didn't realize it. So they show up and they're like, is that Mike and Alan? I see him say it. So Mike, Alan, kore, Alan desu ne. So there wasn't a language barrier. I speak Japanese. I'd been there for 8 years at the time. So they come over and they start talking to us. They sit down and Alan and my wife's friend fucking hit it off. And I turn around and they're just sucking face and shit like that. I walked up to the bar to order a couple drinks. My wife walked up to the bar with me and I was like, no, I got it. I'll buy you a drink. It's not a big deal. I had more money than I had sense. Walked back to the table across the bar. We were at a place called, shit, I can't even remember the name of the bar now. Used to go there all the time. Walked back to the bar, off Broadway. It was called Off Broadway. Walked back from the bar with the drinks, one for me, one for Alan, one for the girl that was her friend now, and one for my wife, Yuka. Come back, and they're gone. I was like, huh. How about that? 15 minutes and this guy's fucking taking off with this chick. And so my wife, who was just a girl that I had met, like basically first time I ever met, was like, what am I gonna do now? I don't know where she went. They weren't answering their phones. I knew where they went. They went around the corner to the business hotel that we were staying in. And I was like, she's like, I don't have a ride home. I was gonna stay at her house. Her car is like at her office. We were gonna go to her house. I have no way to get there. Buses aren't running. It's late. It's like midnight. Buses aren't running. Trains aren't running. She can't get home. She's like an hour away from her house. She would take the train an hour a day to where she worked in Fukuoka. And I'm like, I know where they went. She's like, well, yeah, but where am I gonna stay? I was like, I know where you can stay. That's how I met my wife. And we hung out the whole next day. We went to a place called Hawkstown. We hung out at the little shopping mall. We had lunch. And it was just a really good day. And I had a good time. And I got her phone number and all that stuff. And I'm not going to tell you what we did that night at the hotel, but you can put two and two together. And at that time, I had several girlfriends. None of them serious. I was just juggling. And the nice thing about juggling, like, oh, she found out about the other girls. Take her out of the rotation. I'll find another one, throw back in. And that's what we did. We were horrible people. And then I realized that I caught myself thinking things like, you know, within a couple months we had started seeing each other pretty regularly. But I still was seeing other girls, and she didn't really know about it, but and then I decided, I caught myself one day. I was out with another girl and I was like, man, I wonder what she's doing. I was like, game over. Stick a fork in me. I'm done. And it went from there. Like a year later, she moved in with me long enough to get the paperwork process for us to get married. We were almost done with that. She was living with me. I was on base the day of September 11th. We were actually supposed to get married that Friday, I believe. And she moved in. She had moved in with me. She was stuck. I was stuck on base. She was stuck at my house. She had no way to get anywhere. My car was on base. She didn't have her car. She was stuck. And so basically that pushed our marriage off by about 3 months. We actually got married the end of November that year, 2001. There you go, Dwayne. There's your answer to your question. The M11, the M115E. What connect or message did you receive that you enjoyed the most? I can't say that there's one. I love when I get a text from a customer and they get their knives back and they're like, holy shit. My favorite thing is when I warn somebody and they're like, yeah, you know, I've had sharp knives before, and I warn them, I was like, okay, get ready. This is, it's not normal. It's not what you're used to. Guarantee it unless you've had knives sharpened professionally before. And then I get the knife off to them, and then I get the message like, holy crap, dude, you weren't joking. I just cut the shit out of myself. I should have listened. I love those, and I love stuff like this where you guys sit 99 minutes. We've been doing this, and you guys are still here. Ice beer. What's your favorite? What's your opinion on the React Baby machine? No idea. Haven't even seen it. Brad Leffert. Bradley, have you ever considered dyeing your hair a wild, unnatural color? Nah, I'm pretty much past that. I did one time when I was younger, bleach the shit out of my hair, and it was bad. I got in trouble for it. It came at about that color right there. I was like, oh no. Oh no. My cousin and I were using peroxide. I mean, my hair was kind of blonde anywhere. My cousin and I were on our first ship together, and we bleached our hair with peroxide. And we'd put peroxide in our hair and then go out in the sun, put peroxide in our hair and go out in the sun. It was fucking ugly. It was bad. So Roger B, can you shave for me? I mean, can you have a clean shave look, show and tell? What are you hiding behind those fur? I look like a fucking Muppet. After I retired, especially, I'm getting older, my face has filled out a lot. When I was younger, I looked okay with the clean shaven look. I look 15 to 20 years younger. Like, I'm not gonna joke. I shaved my beard 2 or 3 years ago, and I got carded. Like, I walked in to buy alcohol, and I got fucking carded, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And the lady looked at my driver's license and was like, well, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, yeah, I'm like 41. She's like, you don't look, she's like, we're supposed to card anybody that doesn't look like they're over 30. She's like, you don't look like you're over 30. She's like, I'm sorry. It's not chubby, it's just, I have a baby face. I look young without a beard. And I like having a beard. I had to shave daily for 18 years. And then the first 2 years that I worked for Lockheed Martin, I also had to stay shaved. And so 20 years I had to shave every fucking day, and I couldn't stand it. I got tired of it. So the answer is no. I'm hiding nothing. King Brazum, is an expensive stone better for EDC cheap knives? How long will it take someone to learn how to hand sharpen a knife? Depends on the person, depends on how much effort you put into practicing it, things like that. An expensive stone for a cheap EDC knife? I mean, a cheap EDC knife can get a good edge too. The only difference that I've seen between expensive stones and cheap stones are the amount of time they last, how fast they break down, things like that. A good stone is always going to be good. But I mean, let's put it this way. I got stones that cost a couple $100. Now, I mean, prices were a lot higher. Some of my stones have come down in price by $100 or more, and that makes me happy because now I can afford to replace if something happens, some of these stones. But you know, if you're only sharpening a couple knives and you're only doing it a couple times a year, do you really need an expensive stone? No, probably not. You can get some of the, I mean, a 2000 grit stone is normally going to be a 2000 grit stone. It might be a cloudier, but I mean, you're gonna get decent stones in the $50, $60 price range, $50, $60 price range. You're gonna get decent stones. A couple of stones I use out there are only 14, 15 bucks. The coarse ones. And then the Edge Pro stones that I use that give a really good finish are only between $14 and $20, depending on where you buy them. $17 to $20, you know. Some of the, you know, my Chosera ones are more expensive, but it just depends. Josh Adams, what knife that you've either made or reworked is your favorite knife? Ones that I've done? I'm working on Matt's Hornet, and as far as knives that I've made, the finish on that's going to be cool. I took it to 1400 grit on a polish on the blade just for contrast because it's going to get a pattern blasted in it, and then it's going to get thrown in. He said made or reworked. I don't take apart SM100. That's another thing. I will not take apart an SM100 Stinger. They do not go back together like a regular knife. You take that apart and immediately you run into problems. So I don't do a spot treatment on those. So Matt's is gonna have, it's not a perfect polish, but it's enough that when I blast the pattern on it and then we tumble that, you're gonna have a very unique contrast on that blade. So I think that's going to be my favorite. With those Kevlar handles, it's going to be cool. And Matthew Testers, the last question. What is your favorite hard-duty knife? I'm not going to lie to you. Right now, the knife that's in my pocket almost all the time, and it's because it fits the bill. I'm going to have to replace stop pin soon. That's how much it uses. It gets flipped open and I don't fidget with my knives. I don't flip them open and close, open and close, open and close. My favorite hard-duty knife right now is my Master Blaster. And then followed, yep, there you go, Peter. Followed second by my Gent, actually to the point where I've used my Gent enough that I have to take it apart to tighten the pivot occasionally because I've walked it out. Even I put Loctite on it and it's walked its way out. It gets a lot of use. And normally, my Gent is in my pocket, the other pocket with this. I've flipped it for left-hand carry. It's not right now. It's over for right because I had to go to a function not long ago where I wore slacks, and then I wanted it in my right-hand pocket, so it got flipped back and hasn't been changed. But the only thing that I don't like about the Gent is the pocket clip. If I'm wearing like my basketball shorts, it comes loose and then it winds up down on the couch. I actually just found my Gent the other day. It had been missing for a couple weeks, or a few days actually, and I'm like, oh, there it is. I was moving stuff around, I was cleaning, and I took the couch cushions out to get anything, you know, dog hair and stuff on the sides of the cushions, and my Gent was down in the couch. I was like, aha, found it, cool. Now, my love seat's different. If something falls down in the love seat in my bedroom, it falls down in, and then you have to, I've taken the lining off the bottom, and I have to pick the couch up, pick it up from underneath. So, yeah, that's all the comments, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Like I said, I have no work to do today. It's just this. I'm gonna get this. Matter of fact, while I wrap this up, I'm gonna get the pivot tightened in this so that I can get it sharpened. This is gonna get a sharpened oil. This will go out in the next week or so. So I will get with 1326XX to get an address and things like that. He already sent me a DM on Instagram so that I can get a hold of him. I wanted to do this. The next time, I don't think we're going to do it this way. As much as I like this, I wind up answering the same questions all the time. We can ask questions in another live feed that's not going to take 107 fucking minutes. That's a long time to invest. I've basically been doing nothing but the giveaway stuff since about 9:30 when I got up. So getting things ready, getting the stuff ready, finding a random comment generator, all that stuff. So guys, I'm gonna get off of here. I have stuff I'm gonna do. I am gonna clean my car out and go drive Lyft to make a little money today. I'd like to make some money today. So that's gonna be the end of this. Tighten the pivot on this, not a big deal. So when you get it, sir, if this pivot, 1326, it's a T8 Torx for that pivot. So blade play's gone. No more blade play. So, all right, guys, you guys take it easy. I'm gonna link that lesson that I taught to my Patreon. Peter, I'll probably get in touch with you here in a little bit. I cannot get Skillshare to work to upload a video. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't upload my actual lesson to the video or to their website. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I've tried it 2 different ways. So, all right, guys, that's it. Take it easy. I'm out of here. I gotta let this phone cool off, and I gotta get stuff done. I'll talk to you guys later. As always, I love all you guys. This killed a bunch of time where I would have been just sitting around thinking, God, how much I miss my wife and kid. The stuff that you guys do as much for me on this channel as I could ever hope to do for you. So thanks again for that. That's why I do the giveaways. That's why I do things like this. You guys take it easy. I'll talk to you later. Peter, stand by for a phone call.